Hey Danielle, it's good to see you. Last week we talked about a few things, and so this week the first thing that I want to do is just kind of go over what you can expect out of the counseling session today. So we're going to do a mood check and just see how things are going, how you're feeling today as opposed to last time, and then you're gonna give me a little bit of an update, if you don't mind, about the week, and then we talked a little bit last week about a diagnosis, but this week I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about that. And we're also going to identify some problems this week and set some goals. And then a little bit after that, we're going to talk about what cognitive behavioral therapy is, because I am a cognitive behavioral therapist, so I want you to fully understand what that's about. And then at the end, the main thing that I want you to do is just to give me some feedback about how you felt the session went today. How's that sound to you? Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So how today, on a scale from 0 being the happiest you've ever felt in your life, to 10 being, possibly you want to take your own life. So where would you say you are on a scale of 0 to 10 today?
About a 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay. Well, that's an improvement from last week, because last week I believe you told me that it was around a 6. So can you tell me a little bit about what happened this week that made your mood better?
I had family in from out of town on both sides of the family. We had a wedding in the family, so there was a bunch of grandkids and family that I haven't seen in a long time.
So you got to see a lot of people that you haven't seen, and visit with grandbabies and get to hold them and all that good stuff. So who got married?
My mother-in-law.
Okay. Well, that's fun. That was a good time. So I would imagine that would lighten anybody's mood to be around all their grandbabies and their family and stuff that they love. So, and I imagine with family being in and everything, maybe you were more active. Did you do anything different than you would normally do?
Yeah, if we were more active. Usually I would just sit at the house and watch TV. So we had cookouts and went out to eat and stuff like that.
Okay. So normally you would just be sitting there watching TV or reading or just sitting there. And then, so this week you got up, you went out with family and did some activities, probably moving around, chasing after grandbabies and stuff too. So, well, that's good. So, well, we talked last week about some of your symptoms, about how you do feel like you just sit around the house too much, that maybe that's not a good thing, and that it's dark and everything in your home, and pretty much when you get home from work, all you want to do is stay there, and you don't really want to socialize with anybody or anything. So what I want you to know is that that's perfectly normal for you to be experiencing those things with a diagnosis of depression. It's normal for people who have depression to not want to socialize. They back off from things that they enjoy, like going to church or going for walks with your friends or whatever, and then you start to isolate yourself, and as soon as work is over, you go home and stay there, not interested in going out and doing things. So that's perfectly normal for you to be feeling that way. But what we want to do is to be able to help you find ways to get out of that and help improve your mood. So, so can you tell me about some problems that you have encountered maybe over the past week or so that you would like my help with?
Maybe with work, we have a new boss, and it's kind of different with the way he wants to run things as opposed to the old boss, so it's kind of stressful.
Okay. Do you mind if I write this stuff down as we go so that we can keep up with your goals? I mean, with your problems, and then we're going to set some goals to go with it. So work stress is one. What's the reason that you have a new boss, did you say?
My other boss passed away, or my old boss passed away.
How long did you work with your boss before?
19, almost 20 years.
20 years. That's a long time. That's pretty much family at that point. So
Yeah,
that
so
had
it was
to
like
be a
losing family.
had to be a big loss for you. What else this week or in the past few weeks?
I would say living. Where I'm living at. I'm wanting to move out to where my mom lives because she's older, and I want to be able to be close to her, to like watch out for her, and just not able to do that at this time. So that's stressful.
So, taking care of your mother or
Yes.
living situation to
Right.
be with your mother? So ideally you would want to be where she is, which is, I'm assuming, out, you said out, so is it in the country or?
Out in the country. We have property out there, so we're wanting to eventually move out there and build a house or something.
I was going to ask what's preventing you from moving out there so you don't have a home to live in out there.
Right.
You've got to actually
Sell our
start from
house,
scratch.
right.
And, okay. So, what might a goal be for changing that situation?
Getting the house we have here ready for
Okay.
going on.
That's
the market.
that would be a good goal. So I'm going to write down getting house ready to sell. Can we break that down even further? Is it possible? What would be something so that we have a definite achievable goal here that you could do in order, because we're going to do a little bit of homework this week. I'll go ahead and talk to you a little bit about the behavioral model. Is that we're going to identify situations in your life like the work stress, and then we're going to talk about how you feel about that, and then my goal is to eventually help you to become your own therapist so you don't need me anymore, but that you'll be able to identify these thoughts. One of the questions that you might hear me say often is, what were you just thinking? And then I want you to be able to say that to yourself whenever you're at work or at home. What was I just thinking when you have that negative emotion? Because it'll start out that you will have, I think I have it here, 10, that you'll have the situation, and then that's going to follow into this negative thought, and then this is going to go into the emotion that you're feeling. And so this thought right here is going to be very short, so it's going to take some practice to be able to recognize that. So like with your work situation, I would imagine that it's probably hard to get the feel of somebody new being the chief of police after you've been under somebody for that, for 20 years you've been working with him. So are there some differences as far as a goal that you could think of? Maybe something that he does different that you have to kind of get used to, that you might start working towards accepting?
Yeah, well, he's like the old chief would come in and sit and, find out how we're doing and all that, and he's not to that level yet, which I'm sure he's just getting to know people right now,
So he doesn't greet you and say, hey, how was your week, how was your night, and all that good stuff. Well, what do you think is something that, so maybe what it is, you need to get to know him better, possibly? So does that sound like a good goal?
Yes.
Get to know him better. What would be something that you could do this week that would help you get to know the new chief better?
I don't know, maybe go in his office and see how he's doing. I don't know.
I think that sounds like a really good plan. So I'm going to write that down. So instead of expecting him to come to y'all and say, hey, what's going on, then maybe you could start that conversation with him. So I'm going to write that down. Go to his office. Okay. So we've got 2 problems here and 2 goals. So your work stress, we said that our goal is to get to know the new chief better, and you're going to do that by going taking the first step and going into his office and talking to him. How many times this week during your work week, because you work Monday through Friday, how often do you think you would be able to initiate that?
Just a couple of times a week.
So maybe just start 2 days out of the week and see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 times a week. Okay. And then and I'm sorry I got off track when we were talking about getting the house ready to sell. I started talking about the behavior model, and we never finished our goal setting there. We've got getting house ready to sell. We were going to talk about something specific that you thought that you might could do.
Start getting rid of some old things that I don't need in the house.
So cleaning out closets and yard sale items.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to write getting rid of, should we call it junk? Is it junk or?
I could get rid of it, it's junk.
Getting rid of unused items. How about that?
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Well, I think we've done a pretty good job of finding out what the problems are and trying to set some goals. And if you aren't able, if you approach the chief and he feels unapproachable or whatever, it's okay if you don't complete those this week. But I want you to pay attention and then come back and we'll talk about that. So each week we can, get further and further into the goals. So now I want to ask you, actually, I'm sorry I got off track, but we're not going to stop it. We're going to keep going. So, okay. I am going to ask you what you thought about today. Do you feel like we accomplished anything? Was there anything that we needed to talk about that we didn't talk about?
I think that gives me an idea of things I can do, so I have things I can work towards instead of just sitting at the house or wondering why he didn't come talk to me or things like that.
Okay. So I'll write these down on a piece of paper, and that way you'll have them to go home with you next time. And bring them back next time, and we could talk about how it went. If you felt comfortable talking to him, and if you were able to get anything in a box to take to Goodwill or whatever you're going to do with that. So, well, I'm glad that you are feeling better this week, and the next week I'll probably ask you a real similar question, and we'll see where your mood is from there.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Danny.
Thank you.